What's up, America? Tony from the Real American Outdoors here, and today we're going to be smoking a brisket flat. Alright, so we have our brisket out of our bag. So the first thing we want to do with our brisket is we want to trim it up a little bit. So this is just a flat. So normally at the store when you buy your full brisket packer, it comes with a point, which is where the burnt ends come from. This is the flat where you get your slices. So because it's just a flat, there's going to be a little bit less fat content. So there's going to be less prep and trimming work to do. So really the only thing I'm really going to trim off is this little piece of fat on the top in the corner here. I'm going to leave a little on, but we don't need a ton of it to remain. And that's pretty much it. This is pretty trimmed brisket flat. And then the next thing we're going to do is throw our seasonings on. So our first seasoning we're going to do is kind of more of a traditional Texas style. This is my S&P, equal parts salt and pepper. So we're going to give a nice coat of this on top. Flip it over. Even though it's the fat side, we're going to give it a nice coating of salt and pepper. I'm going to make sure we do the sides. Alright. That'll give us some nice bark as we go through the cook. Next we're going to do is my homemade West Texas style rub. This rub, it consists of salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder for more of your standard flavor. Also have a little white and brown sugar, but mostly this is where my spicier rub. So we have cayenne pepper, crushed red pepper, chili powder, cumin, and other spices like that to give it some nice zip. And this is going to give us some more of a barbecue flavor. We're just going to go a little light over the top compared to our salt and pepper rub. Flip it over. Alright, notice how I didn't inject. So if I was in competition, I would inject with some beef broth or some other good beef injection. Because we're just eating at home today, I've decided not to inject. We're just going to use our natural salt, pepper, and our West Texas style rub. So let's go fire up the smoker, and I'll show you what charcoal and what wood we're using today. Alright, for today's cook, for our charcoal, we're going to be using the fancy Royal Oak 100% all natural hardwood lump charcoal. And for our wood, we're going to be using Western Premium Barbecue Products pecan wood. Pecan is a good wood for brisket or any kind of beef. If you also have mesquite or post oak, that will also work great too for some good smoke flavor. Normally when you place it on the smoker, you want the hot end pointed toward where the heat's coming from, so I got a little thicker on the left side here. Now we're going to close. Alright guys, let's check out this Royal Gourmet smoker we're using today. It is an offset smoker, so as you can see we have our firebox here which will feed in heat and smoke through the main grill area, and we can control our temp through that airflow grate right there, and we can control our heat by letting air in and out through the top here. And then let's take a look at our grilling surface. The thing about offsets, as you can see, are getting some decent bark on there so far. The thing about offsets is they come with these thermometers, and these are pretty much garbage. The only reason why I put it on there is because of the hole, so heat and smoke doesn't leak through. But that's why I always use these probes here. As you can see, this one I got off Amazon. It's got a probe that's getting the temp of the pit and also the temp of the meat. And the nice part is it comes with this guy, which is these are connected to each other. So it's got a 425 foot radius, so I can walk away from the smoker and see that our pit temp is at 251 and our meat's now at 150. So that's the smoker we're going to be using. Offset smoker, Royal Gourmet. So you want to make sure you keep on feeding that fire, keeping our temp up. And looks like we'll be wrapping in about 25-ish degrees. And we'll see you then. Alright, so we got the color we want, and we also hit our stall at about 155 degrees. So next thing we're going to do is, to keep this nice and moist and keep our bark, we're going to wrap it in foil. So one of the biggest debates in the barbecue world is whether you wrap briskets in foil or butcher paper. Kind of a general rule, if you want to keep the moisture, you use foil. If you want to keep the bark, you use butcher paper, but both will work just fine. Since we're not worried about competition or anything like that, we're just going to use the foil. So we're just going to wrap it up and put one over the top. Also helps to make sure you buy big enough wrapping paper. I'm going to put one more on the bottom and one more over the top, and then we're going to be good to go back out in the smoker. I'm also going to make sure I put my probe back in. Just make sure you don't puncture all the way through. And now we're going to be cooking to more temp and, more importantly, feel. It's still a little tough going in, but it went in pretty nicely. Right now we're at, looks like we're reading 157. So usually that stall will happen between 145 and 170, usually a little different each time. We hit it about 155, so it looks like we're up to 159 now. So let's get her back out. We're not going to add any more wood. We're just going to keep on adding more heat to maintain our temp. I've been doing about 275, no lower than 250 when I refuel it. So let's get her back out there. All right, so we pulled our brisket. We got it up to 203 degrees internal. Everyone's kind of got their preferred temp of when to pull their brisket. So a lot of people do between 203, 206. Passed the field test, feels like butter when we put the probe through. Next thing we're going to do is let it rest. This is the most important step as part of the cooking process. So what I'm going to do is move it to this pan. And it's okay if some of the juices escape a little. It's going to happen with tin foil. The reason why we're moving it to the pan is because we're going to put it in a cooler to help it maintain temperature. It's hot, so be careful. And now we're going to let this rest. You want to let it rest at least a couple hours. If you can do it 4, that's great. So we're just going to let this rest, let the juices go suck back into the meat, and then we'll cut her open. All right, before we cut into this brisket, I just want to recap what we did today. So we first got our brisket out of the package. We seasoned it with equal parts salt and pepper, put a good coating of that on, and then we finished up with a light dusting of our West Texas barbecue rub that has the combination of a little sweet, savory, and a lot of heat to give it that nice barbecue flavor. We then put it on the smoker at 275 degrees, and then we put it on for about 4 to 5 hours till about when we hit our stall at about 155, 160. Wrapped it in foil, got it up to the magic sweet number of 203 degrees. So let's take it out of the foil here, and we'll see what she looks like. All right, so now you can see what she looks like. Got good bark on there. You can see this, kind of see the steam coming off. Got a little jiggle, which is good. Next thing you want to make sure you do is when you slice the brisket, you want to cut against the grain. So you can kind of see our grain is going this way. So we're going to cut from here, and then we're going to want to get good slices. In terms of slices, it really doesn't matter how thick or thin you want them. Notice I saved some juice down there, then we'll pour that over, or au jus if you will. And then let's get slicing this thing. All right, let's get our knife out and let's look at our slices. It's cutting through like butter here. See in the end, look at that smoke ring. See with our brisket, beautiful smoke ring. Do the snap test. You can pull it over and it doesn't break, and then it should be able to, ooh, it's hot. Tender and juicy. Tastes great. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well. Stay tuned for more recipes and more things coming from the Real American Outdoors, and we'll catch you next time.